It's been a great big year for fans of Queen, and I'm here not in the Smooth Radio studio but with Brian May at the launch of the book 40 Years at Queen. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Mark. We're on a little private preview here, aren't we?
And it's spectacular because this comes broadly from your own personal collection of artefacts never been seen before but which are in the book.
That's right, yes. I'm quite surprised myself at some of this stuff. I just did collect it instinctively over the years. I think I'm an instinctive, obsessive collector. But I'm now very glad that I did, because the book happened because of the collection. And there's a lot of stuff here, as you say, which has never seen the light of day. And it's kind of nice. It's a nice link with the past.
Well, I know that you have been very cautious about the way you've celebrated this extraordinary band over the years, but, you know, there has been no dent in the appetite for what you created in Queen. You'll have seen this all year, absolutely still as popular as ever.
It is amazing, and I think we're probably busier than ever in the last 40 years. It's incredible, yeah, you look at it. Our manager said to us the other day, you realise this is 40 years, 20 of which is without Freddie. It's a very odd thing, and yet Freddie is here, we see him all around us, and seems as much alive as ever in some ways, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he lives on. At what point did you feel, can you recall when Queen became greater than the sum of its parts? Can you define a moment when that happened?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think probably from the beginning, you know, actually. There was a certain kind of magic there when we started to hook up. First, obviously, was me and Roger when we first played together in Imperial College in a little jazz room, and we both thought, "Ooh, that sounds good." You know, there seems to be some kind of magical blend that's going on here, and we did hit it off immediately. And then, of course, we got together with Freddie after we'd been in Smile for a few years, and well, Freddie was amazing. You know, very. Brought some ingredients into it which we didn't know the existence of, really, up until that time. And you know, and we were all very raw, and probably Freddie more than any of us very raw in a sense, you know, not very experienced. But as you say, the sum of the parts was already beginning to be a lot bigger than any of us. And finally we found John, and again it was a very lucky break. It wasn't through some kind of scientific method. He just turned up, and he was the boyfriend of the girlfriend of one of our girlfriends, you know, and it was just a perfect thing. It was a sort of an organic mix which worked, and immediately the sound of Queen was there, I think.
And if it happened, and it did happen as you describe it, you've got to believe in fate, really, haven't you? There's no other explanation about how all those worlds could collide.
No, it's very odd. I mean, I'm a scientist, as you know, and it's not normal for scientists to believe that kind of thing, but there have been some extraordinary coincidences in my life, and you just think, how could that possibly have happened? Some of them in the music sphere, some of them in astronomy, some of them in the stereoscopic photography history, which I do. Some extraordinary things. And sometimes, you know, like the girl used to say, you know, I think my life is a movie. You sort of feel that way. Some of, you know, it's not all. As everybody, as a human being, I get great things happen, and I get crap things happening. You know, you get stuff which is really hard to deal with, and you think, where did that come from? But on the whole, I look at my life and I think I've been incredibly lucky.
The book 40 Years of Queen contains this wonderful memorabilia. Did you keep it just because you're an obsessive collector, or did you always think somehow that it might mean something?
You know, it's a strange thing. I always collected things since I was a kid, and I think it's a feeling of kind of compensating for loss. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, you grow up and then you go through your life and it's all incredibly fast. It's like being on a train watching things whiz by you. And sometimes I think it's nice to put out a hand and grab something, and you think, well, maybe I'll have time to enjoy this later. I think it's more like that, really. The Queen history was so incredibly fast and furious in a sense. You know, there wasn't time to absorb everything, and I think by grabbing hold to some of these things I did think, maybe one day there will be a moment, a quiet moment, when I can sit and enjoy all this and look and see what really happened.
Well, this has been a really enjoyable couple of moments this afternoon to look at the robot from the News of the World album.
It's very nice, isn't it? I love the robot. It's really, there's not many of them in the world.
And you know, Freddie's outfit.
Yeah.
A lot of amazing things. Your Red Special original guitar,
yes,
which I'm guessing doesn't come out very often.
Well, it comes out every time I play, but not very often in anybody's hands except mine.
And Talking of celebrating, you know, any minute now it's going to be 50 years, because as you say, time goes by in a flash. Have you kept a few things behind?
Well, I don't know if I'll make it to the 50th. Well, I'll be about 103, won't I?
You're looking pretty good at it.
Thank you. Well, there's loads more. I mean, I have a huge kind of bunker full of this stuff. There is so much stuff, more than you could ever show in any exhibition. Yeah, it's vastly more than you see here. This is the tiniest tip of the tiniest iceberg. Yeah, there's tons of it, I have to say. I don't know what it's going to do in the future, but yeah, we certainly have enough for the 50th.
The influence of the band across all sorts of people is quite remarkable.
It is amazing. It's as I travel the world now, as I still do, it astonishes me how far we reached. It's like there were little kind of tentacles everywhere, and it's like we made contact with almost everybody's lives. So that it can't be that way quite, but it does seem that way. It's amazing. We never would have predicted it. We never would have thought it could have happened to that scale. But I was still surprised when I opened the book, and it's a lot of fun. I think it'll fly off the bookshelves because it's hilarious. You get in there and you get all these things to pull out, posters and tickets and handwritten notes. There's a little map of our first tour that was made by my dad. And you have all this fun pulling this stuff out, and then you can spend hours trying to get it all back in again.
Yeah, it doesn't go back in quite as easy as it comes out. And just a quick word about you and Roger wrote the foreword, but Harry Doherty, who's a well-known, long-serving music journalist, you trusted to write this narrative.
It did indeed. He's a very old and trusted friend. Yeah, I didn't even read it, as I said in the foreword. You know, but I have read it now, and I think it's very well done. It's tempting to control this kind of thing too much, and I'm really glad we didn't in this case. We let people get on with it, and I think it's the better for it.
It didn't let you down. 40 Years of Queen's published by Goodman. I expect that many a die-hard fan and others besides will have it in a stocking this Christmas. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Brian
Cheers,
May.
Mark.
There's Brian May from Queen, who I met last week, and if you'd like to bid for a signed copy of that book, 40 Years of Queen, which is signed by not just Brian but by Roger as well, it's on the Help for Heroes auction, which is live now at smoothradio.co.uk. Go on, take a look. Someone you know, I know, would love that.
Sometimes I get to feeling I was back in the old days, long ago, when we were kids, when we were young.